distribution. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that was a laborious process involving a number of spreadsheets and head scratching.
And you have more or less contributed sort of automating that over the last year or so. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that we basically the same process is still we're still using the same process or similar, but it has been streamlined to the quantification is much faster, and we can use the data in better ways to do analytics and so on.
Okay, cool. Well, I want to hear more about those details, but before we get any further into the weeds on this, what is the philosophy behind the praise system? What did you find most compelling about it? In either Mitch or Christopher, whoever wants to grab this one.
Yeah, I'd be happy to go first. I think the really awesome thing about praise is that it kind of sets aside a time for us to reflect on like what's happening within our DAO or within our communities, and really appreciate the people who are doing awesome work. So there's a lot of value behind like taking the time to write out something nice to be sent to someone else, being like, hey, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. And like, I see the work that you're doing. And the other flip side of that is that also we can create a system where casual contributors, people who might not have enough time to contribute regularly, can come in, can create value for a DAO or a commons, and can be retroactively rewarded for the work that they do.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that the whole process of being involved in the praise system, from praising to quantifying and reading the analysis and receiving the tokens, etc., it is valuable for community building. So the act of sitting, like you described, the act of sitting down and describing what you find valuable in the contributions of others, with the task is to try to identify the contributions you feel contribute to the shared goal of the community. So sitting down and having to identify that is an exercise, a valuable exercise. And for the people reading that feed of praise, it's super valuable to see what goes on in the community and really get a sense of who does what. And then the data created by praise, when you take the totality and the summarized data of all praise, is a super rich data source. I don't think it has any equivalent where you can do like deep data analysis on like simple things like who are our active contributors would be a simple thing to get a picture of, or how does the activity in our community grow over time, or does it decrease over time? And then of course you can use it as a source of rewards, like you described, a really good way of being able to getting rewards to contributors that are not core contributors. I'll stop there.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a bit of my experience too. I hear what you guys are saying, and I felt a sense of immediacy as a contributor when I first encountered the praise system. And I understand there's a whole host of things that happen on the back end that have been streamlined. But Mitch, you referred to it as retroactive, but and I think technically that's definitely true. But when I think of retroactive funding or retroactive compensation in the DAO experience, it's like months and months and months down the road. Whereas I feel like the praise system is, like I said, is a bit more immediate. There's something about it that feels tangible, and that therefore it can encourage contributors to continue the good work they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, the feedback loop is much shorter than in like traditional retroactive funding. So it's cool because you get the instant gratification of like, you know, somebody's acknowledging what you're doing, and you get the retroactive rewards because like, you know, praise is dished after the work is done. But again, like typically it'll be like within a week to 2 weeks after the action is done that you'll get the reward on the other side of the system.
Got it. Got it. Well, if it's cool with you guys, I'd like to segue a bit to the sort of formal presentation, Christopher, of the tool. And I know you have a few slides with some great graphics, keywords there, and a bit more detail to share with people about what the price system is about. You want to kick that off, and we can encourage people to head over again to YouTube if they want to watch the share screen.
Okay, cool. Should I can try to describe what's on the screens as well, as best I can for those who only listen, and I try to move through these fairly quickly, and then do a short demo of the praise plot. So I usually start off these presentations with this slightly cheesy quote of, and I'm going to read it for you. "The praise is like sunlight to the human spirit. We cannot flower and grow without it." It's written by an old self-help guru, and no, it's just to serve as a reminder of what we already know is true. Our intuitive knowledge about, you know, praise is actually super important in our close relationships within the families and so on. Like, praising the people near and dear to you is super important to build strong relations. So we've been looking at the science. We all know this is to be true, but it feels good to have it confirmed by science. And the things at the top of the screen there, that it makes us feel appreciated and valued, that it reinforces positive feelings and strengthens our sense of connection, we really intuitively know and sense. But what struck me and came as a little bit more of a surprise, that science has shown that it actually increases cooperation and creates a strong sense of community in between individuals in a bigger community as well. And finally, also that praising leads to happiness, or there's definitely a correlation between praising and happiness. No one knows if it's that happy people praise each other a lot, or if you become happy by praising. But either way, praising is a super powerful tool, and we believe that the power of praise is sort of it has been difficult to bring that power into the digital space. So we're stuck in this situation of polarization and tribalism and meaning crisis and meta crisis and various crises. So the goal of the praise system is to sort of try to take that power back again and bring a little bit of that power into the digital space, because it really needs it. And I think this we have covered more or less, that praise is a tool, a reward system. It's a bot. It's mostly a Discord bot with a backend, but it's decentralized. It's member to member. It creates this bottom-up feed of data regarding contributions and who does what, and also then serves as this super rich source of community insight and what goes on in the community. And also it can serve as a source of in this case, rewards. And just very quickly, the process of how praise works is that the first step is that individuals praise each other's contributions, what they see contribute to the purpose of the community. And the second step would be quantifying this data, because in order for it to be used as a source of rewards, we need to attach figures to all this. So then a group of quantifiers, initially for Gnosis, it will be just a small group initially, and hopefully over time that group can become more decentralized and bigger. Quantifying the data, they look at each individual praise item and try to determine, like, was this a small contribution to the community, or was it a really big one? A really small contribution would be like retweeting something, And a really big contribution might be like publishing a super important research report, or launching and deploying an on-chain contract. The third step is analyzing the praise data to gain all these insight, community health information, and so on. I don't think that Gnosis might do so much of that to begin with, but over time, again, I hope that we can move towards that as well. And then the final step would be to summarize these scores and using a really simple distribution algorithm, convert it into from the praise score into a Gnosis token distribution, and make sure that the praise receivers get that token in their wallets. Demo. The praise bot, let's see, works like this. Basically, it's two main commands that you as a praise user needs to know about. There are more commands, but as a praise user, you need to know about the /praise command. That is the main thing. And you just type /praise and add the receivers, the people you would like to praise. And the third option is the reason why you are praising them. And when you enter the reason, try to be specific. Try to mention be specific about the contribution you are praising. Praise only one contribution in each praise, and also try to describe the impact the contribution had on the community. Like, you praise this and that person for helping me with this thing. It really saved me or my working group 5 hours of time, or whatever. Try to describe the impact, because that makes it so much easier for the quantifiers when looking at this in hindsight to actually determine the size of the contribution. So I'm praising Christopher here for something. And your first interaction with the praise system would look like this. Sorry, you cannot praise because your account is not activated. And you activate by typing the /activate command. And the process of activation means linking your Discord user account with an Ethereum wallet, because we need to know your an Ethereum wallet in order to be able to pay out the rewards later. So I'll type /activate. That command gives me a link that I will follow. And to activate, I just sign a message using MetaMask. So that just popped up outside of the screen share. And now I have activated my account. So that is the setup process for an individual user. So it's really quick. And now if I try to praise again, praise Christopher for something, most likely it will, yeah, success, great. And the first time you get praised, or the first time you praise, the bot will send you like a welcome message with a link to some more details on how to write excellent praise. I recommend everyone to follow that link and read through some examples of great and not so great praise, and why they're great and not great. Because the quality of the praise is, in the end, will determine how the praise system is perceived, and if this experiment will continue or not in the community. So next thing, the final thing, or the next to final thing I would like to do is just give you a glimpse on how things look behind the scenes for an administrator. So the praise comes into this backend. There's a dashboard where admins and users can view all praise coming in and perform certain actions. You can see the praise I just sent is there at the top of the list. And then quantification happens in periods. So you set up periods or rounds or epochs, many systems call them. And in this case, I just set up a period called June. wait, let's go and see an older period instead. Let's look at this period around 12. That was in May somewhere. This is data from the TEC, so it's actually live data. And then what an admin or a user logging into the praise dashboard can see is who has gotten praised and what were their final scores. They can see these quantifiers. Have they completed their tasks? Everyone except for one quantifier did complete the task. So the quantifiers they get assigned praise in the situation, in the setup we are using for the TEC. We have we have like 30 people acting as quantifiers, and then around 10 of them get assigned each time. So it's somewhat like a jury duty. It's we believe it's really important to take active part in the quantifications of your community praise. Basically, you are getting paid to look at and quantify praise and to learn more what goes on in the communities. It's a many people believe it's really a fun thing to do. It usually takes around like 30 to 45 minutes every time you get assigned as a quantifier. And you can also in this period see a bunch of analytics for the period, such as the top awarded praise, which could represent the most important contributions during that period. And so some other statistics like who were the top receivers, who were the top givers, the scoring distribution, and some statistics used by the quantifiers to determine who did we have an even spread of our scores, or did we score the praise differently? Oh, I forgot to say that in the TEC in Common Stack using praise, each praise is being quantified by more than one quantifier. So here, looking at one individual praise, we can see this interesting situation where 3 quantifiers gave this praise by that Mitch sent fairly high scores, and one of them gave the praise a much lower score. So it's basically a community-run process. It's completely decentralized. There are no algorithms in this process, but instead it's a sort of a human ritual or a human algorithm, which we believe is much more interesting in this case. No AI quantification going on. And finally, the token distribution is not that much to say about. It's the straightest distribution. If you get 1% of the total praise score, you get 1% of the distribution budget for that period. Simple as that. And we can also connect third-party systems to do more deep dives analysis into the data, and that is what we do for the TEC. We look in detail at let's look at this cross-period analysis. So we look at how the volume of praise over time. You can see here the not so exciting situation that TEC is in, that the volume of praise has decreased quite significantly from October last year until now, which is a super interesting community signal. Most likely it has something to do with activity in the community going down and so on, or interest in praise is lower. And yeah, a bunch of analytics. So basically we can connect the Jupyter-based analysis system, a Python-based, and do many kinds of analysis on the data to gain the kind of insights we need. For instance, this last analysis is really interesting, I think, is the categorization of praise. So we have categorized the praise into a number of different categories, like attendance, discussion, work, lead, and which were the top. So which were the top work-related praise this period, which were the top discussion-based praise this period, and so on. And usually we have like this post-quant analysis session, and we also share these analysis on the TC forum and so on. So we do believe that everything combined contributes to building a sorry, a stronger community and a more happy community and a more well-functioning community. I think I'll stop there and pass it back to T. Wells for questions.
Yeah, totally. This has been great. I'm learning as I'm listening and watching here. I want to, again, encourage people to check out the Gnosis Chain YouTube channel. Logistical snag at the beginning of the show, but we're live streaming there if you want to see and even play back a bit of what Christopher's showing on his screen. I mean, these analytics are pretty out of this world. I dropped a link to the givepraise.xyz, right, to the web address. People can definitely check that out, should check that out. You know, and I haven't had a chance to explore the app very much, but seeing is believing, right? So I think, if I'm not mistaken, right, if I log in to the web app here, I will then be able to see all the praise that I've received, the people who have praised me, and then I can, the second portion is periods. And then is that really quick, can you explain the difference to me between the My Praise section and the periods section of the UI there?
Yeah, so the periods are set up by the administrators of the system in the TC. And Common Stack, we have a rewards working group that manages the quantifications and so on, and they are assigned as administrators of this system, and they set up these quantification periods. And so the periods is just a start date and an end date, and all the praise that happened during that period. But yes, you can log in as a user to see the praise you have received, and we are currently developing even more interesting features around that. It would be a public-facing profile page, meaning that you can go to the praise dashboard / your username, similar to like a Twitter profile page. You can share this profile link with people, and then they can see the main things you have been praised for. So it could be a super valuable like reputation signal. So this would be like a soft first step of using praise as a source of reputation, where you go if you want to see what I've been doing in the TC or Common Stack or Give It, just go to my praise page and have a look, and you will see my top contributions according to others. So it's really a source you can really trust much more than if I tell you what I've been doing. Let's look what others are saying about me instead.
Totally. And so this ultimately is a system that works between Discord. So there's the bot at the Discord level, and then there is the web app. Those are the two main parts. Like for people who have never encountered this before, those are the two main parts, right?
Yes. And then also in development or on the roadmap will be that we will be pushing the data from the web app into a decentralized storage, such as IPFS or Ceramic or Arweave. And once we have pushed that complete praise feed into a data store that cannot be tampered with easily, then we can move even further towards making praise a source of reputation, where you maybe can analyze several praise feeds to generate a praise scores based on your, like a reputation score or reputation signal based on your contributions in many communities. And then the data will not be closed in as it is now in our web app. It will be independently verifiable. So you can follow the links and see that the reputation badge or the reputation score that I claim to have actually is backed up by real contributions in real communities.
Super. Well, I'd love to. So this demo has, I think, illuminated a lot of things, and again, encourage people to check out the visuals on that. Maybe we can link up the slideshow if you feel comfortable, and we can share those things so people can double back if they want to. I'd like to just segue to talking specifically about how this tool can assist and enhance the validator community at Gnosis Chain. So that specific application, going back a little bit to what Mitch shared earlier as far as the origins of Burning Man, I have a background in education, and I strongly believe in the power. I've seen the power of positive reinforcement, both at the individual and community level. So if we take this tool that is designed to enable community members to praise one another and build together, how do you guys, and maybe I can bring Mitch back into the conversation here, if you would share with us a little bit about how you think that the praise system can help to make the Gnosis chain, the validator community, and therefore the security of the chain, really something unique and exceptional?
Great question. Well, I think in any system where you're dealing with humans, praise is especially valuable because it kind of just brings people in and adds that human layer of acknowledgement and self-expression that really helps people stay engaged and feel like they're seen, and keeping them motivated to stay involved with whatever the goals of any org is, to be honest.
And what praise brings is some permanence to praise data. You know, in the old world, in Web 1, in the Game A world, you meet up Joe at the coffee machine and pat him on the back and say, "Yeah, you did a great work during that workshop yesterday." And that, of course, is super valuable. You give someone direct one-to-one person praise, but that is known only between you, and it's you know, once the words are spoken, they are also gone. And with praise permanent, making that information more permanent, we believe that it will make contributions that were invisible, maybe more visible, and that in turn will contribute to growing the validator community, to feel maybe people that perhaps have been working slightly behind the scenes to feel more appreciated and be more tempted to assist others in setting up validator nodes and so on. And in general, fostering sort of a culture of giving and gratitude also within the validator community, increasing the chance of all contributors or all validators helping each other, like, you know, sponsoring this positive vibration within the community. I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love that. I don't know. It's one of these things where this is sort of my perspective on, you know, particularly as a non-technical person, I'm learning about node running and all that because I'm interested, because I want to do it. But I think that fostering that community of learning, like, that is so amazing. And in some ways, it's like when I think about people running nodes, or, you know, miners, say on like a POW network, like the people that are working to secure the chain and like the users of the chain are, I don't know, they're different, they're separate. In some ways they can be adversarial. I think the idea that you can build a community that's training each other and has this positive culture around securing a blockchain is just something really exciting and novel there, and so it's almost like an interesting and sort of ideal application for the tool. What is the current state of the implementation? Is this something that is active in a specific part of the validator community already? I'm curious what the current state of play of praise in the GC system is.
Yeah, praise is actively being used as we speak. We haven't seen a ton of praise volume yet, but I do think that it has to grow over time, the culture of praising. And also once we get started doing the first quantifications and also token payouts, it will become evident that it's not just empty words, or it's not just actual tokens end up in your wallet. And that was also one of the main reasons for Gnosis to distribute the ownership, or the distribute Gnosis tokens to more individuals, so to secure the chain, make it less centralized. Yeah, sorry, what was your question? It was what's happening now is it running? Sorry.
Correct. Yeah, I just wanted to get a feel for how it's being used, like right now within the ecosystem.
Yeah, and I would guess that we we have been working on creating this distribution method. Gnosis has a slightly different distribution method than the TC, so we had to build that. But that is done, and so we are rapidly approaching the first quantification within a week or two, I would hope, at least.
Okay, so that first period that we referred to earlier in the UI, that is coming to an end, the very first one for Gnosis Chain. Cool. Very good. Very good. Well, we'll definitely have to, I'd love to touch back when that is complete and just sort of get a debrief on that and chat a little bit more, maybe learnings from that. Is there, so let's say there's somebody who listens to this broadcast, they get a project and they'd love to learn more about the Praise system or even integrate it. What would you say is the most important, call to action or steps that they can take maybe this weekend to get moving towards integrating Praise?
One great way of getting a feel of how Praise works is to head over to the Token Engineering Commons Discord and just dive in there and read the Praise feed. Activate your account, have a look at in their Praise instance, see the statistics, read the forum posts, just learn a little bit more about the system. And so that might be a good first step. If you're a technical person, you can always set it up yourself. It's an open source system. It's a straightforward. It's like a 15-30 minute setup. If you need to have a Linux server with Docker on it, that's the only requirement. And also you can, if you would like to have the full hand-holding experience, you can contact anyone at CommonStack or head over to the CommonStack Discord and ask anyone there, and we can do a demo, and we can do a one-on-one conversation, or yeah, those are some options.
All right, excellent. Well, I know we're headed towards the back half of the last quarter of the hour actually here. And I wanted to just open the floor for a moment. If there's anybody in this space who would like to ask questions about Praise system of Christopher or Mitch, feel free to raise your hand and we can bring you up, give you speaking powers, and you can pick their brains a bit if you'd like. So I'm going to go ahead and give us about 10 seconds of air time here. And if you'd like to ask a question, please request the mic. While we're waiting for people to perhaps come up with a question or two if they'd like to ask, either Christopher or Mitch, I'd be curious to know here about, is there an intersection between Praise and the Praise system and the trusted seed? Do you have to be a member of the trusted seed to participate, or are these two completely separate things?
So, sorry, do you have to be a member of the trusted seed to do, sorry, to do what?
To participate in the Praise system.
Oh, no. The Praise is a completely standalone open source system. So yeah, CommonStack uses one, which is tightly coupled with the trusted seed, and then yeah, the TC is their system is completely standalone, and every system is standalone currently. With our hopes being that we can sort of merge these data streams into a decentralized data store, and Ceramic would be the ideal place for that, so that there will be like one centralized, decentralized location where you can find and query and merge the Praise streams from any number of communities, and to really generate a super interesting reputation signal.
Very cool. All right, folks, well, I don't see anybody jumping up to ask any questions about Praise. So once again, give Christopher and Mitch a follow here. And the link to the Praise project website is linked to the space below in the comments section. Go ahead and check that out. And if you got any additional questions, you can always DM me and I can connect you with folks there if that's the easiest route for you. But I want to say thank you again, Christopher and Mitch, for hopping on to chat about Praise today. And we'll look forward to maybe touching base again once the first period is finished for the Gnosis Chain validators.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us. It's a really nice conversation.
Yeah, this is wonderful. Thank you so much for inviting and hosting the space, T. Wells.
My pleasure, guys and gals. And I'm gonna shift here then and talk about a few things, headline-wise in the Gnosis Chain ecosystem. But I appreciate you guys, and safe travels. I think if Mitch, you're down there at DevCon, and we will touch base again with you guys soon. GM, Christopher, and Mitch.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, too. Of course. All right, and everybody else, we're going to make a quick switch here, just lift and shift for the last couple minutes to do two things. First is to cover a couple headlines that I want to make sure everybody is aware of, and we'll end up the hour with two trivia questions. And I promise these are going to be good ones, much improved from 2 weeks ago. So we'll do a little bit of headlines, do a little bit of fun, and then we'll wrap things up for this week. So on the headline side, I just wanted to share a bit about this credit card that I mentioned earlier. This is a story that broke on Twitter, I guess, a couple of days ago. Friederike announced this. She is, of course, one of the core team at GnosisDAO, and I believe COO. And this tweet, I'm going to see if I can link it up here in the Twitter space. If not, I'll put a link to it. She announced a credit card that is also a self-custodial wallet, and it will be enabled to pay on any Visa terminal with funds via Gnosis Chain. And if the merchant accepts stable coins, this tech will enable the user to bypass Visa altogether. So let me go ahead and link this up here in the Twitter space so people can explore a little bit further. And I'll point you to the PDF that gives all the great details as well here. So give me just 1 second. Okay, so Friederike's thread should be available if you look just below the Twitter space. And if you click into the thread, she has shared a link to the Saltpay PDF. And I can what I'll do is just for ease of access, I will also just paste this link below the Twitter space. So let's see here. And I encourage people to click in specifically to the PDF that's linked here. You can see essentially the deck that was, I believe, used at the Gnosis Chain event at DevCon to summarize this initiative. And it really gets into the details. It provides a nice historical overview of payment systems, sort of on the front end and back end of this technology. And what it shows really is that the front end in many ways has changed, but the back end has remained the same, and really since the 1970s. So the solution to this, or the proposed approach here, is to imagine a network through which you can pay like you already do at a store, powered by cheaper, faster, and scalable backend. This would be Gnosis Chain. And they're introducing the world's first self-custodial hardware wallet crypto card. So this is, again, if we're sort of zooming out here, the reason, of course, this got my attention, I sort of spread the news this week about it, is because if you, in particular, if you're a DAO contributor, right, and you're compensated on-chain, getting that capital off-chain to a place where it can be easily spent, right, to do your to just general rent right? Groceries, gas. It can be challenging for some, very difficult for others, at least at minimal, I think, a high friction user experience. And so the possibility that you could do this directly from Gnosis Chain with xdai is very exciting. I think gives some really, really potential breakthrough utility for the chain, and particularly for the builders that are in and around the community. So this is a story I definitely think is one to check out. Again, the Saltpay PDF is linked down below, and we'll be sharing the latest news on that with you once, of course, we know more details. My understanding is that this product will be first available, I think, in Europe and not in the United States. Surprise. But hopefully we'll be seeing that across this side of the pond in the near future. I had two other quick announcements I wanted to make here before we get into the trivia. The first is Guild.xyz. If you're familiar with this platform, they recently launched Crosschain Allowlists. So we're not going to get into all of what Guild does here, but it enables you to set specific parameters for drops, right? And so this is a cross-chain allow list feature that includes both Polygon and Gnosis Chain. The second announcement is via Data Union. Data Unions launched their Framework 3.0. If you're not familiar with the Data Union DAO, definitely check them out. They have part of the protocol is has been live on Gnosis Chain, and Framework 3.0. It more or less, it gas optimizes the experience, particularly if you are working on either setting up or participating in a data marketplace via Streamer. Okay, so let's get into the trivia here. I got two questions. I'm going to do it the same way as we did 2 weeks ago. And what that means is I'm going to, meaning T. Wells, I'm going to go ahead and tweet the question. Okay, so you need to be watching my account to answer the question. And we got two of them today. They're multiple choice questions. So you're going to see the slide with the question and possible answers on it. And I'm going to tweet it out. And the first person to respond with a correct answer in the comment section will win a little bit of crypto. Okay, so again, the process, I'm going to tweet out a slide with a question on it. If you know the answer, the first person to respond correctly in the comment section will win a little crypto, and I will reach out to you directly once the show is over. So let's go ahead with our first question here. I'm going to tweet it momentarily. So follow, at least for the next 5 minutes, my Twitter account. The first question that is live here. Utility token used to pay gas fees on Gnosis Chain is it WETH, is it GNO, is it xdai, or is it the OWL token? So see who responds first to that one. And I'm going to launch the second question in about 10 seconds here. Let's see here. It looks like LaDAO. Dell, and I'm not going to try. I'm going to butcher the last word in your Twitter name, and I apologize for my... I'm just not going to try. But LaDAO, you won. Correct. xdai is the utility token. For those of you who do not know, xdai, of course, a stable coin, which does differentiate Gnosis Chain from other blockchains where you have a utility token that may be volatile in its value. So xdai is, of course, unique, and this is a carryover from its previous incarnation. So let's do the second question here, and then we'll wrap up for today's show. Question number 2. Let's see who's paying attention here on Crypto Twitter and following. Maybe you're there. Maybe there are people. I know Mitch is. But the second question is, where is DevCon? Where is DevCon 2022? Is it Medellin, Monaco, Bogota, or Barcelona? Let's see who nails this one. I'll give you 10 seconds, and then we'll tell you the correct answer. And it looks like Ladao has got the trigger finger there today. First, again, with the correct answer, it is in Bogota. And we wish everybody who is spending time down there a good GM, and wish I could be there myself. Hopefully next time. Safe travels to everybody. Hope you have an excellent weekend. Appreciate all you for tuning in today. Once again, the recording will be available here as well as on the Gnosis Chain YouTube. Make sure to subscribe, and also subscribe to the Gnosis Chain newsletter on Substack that will be coming out a little bit later today. GM, everybody, take care. Be well.